Welcome. This is our discussion segment saying Good Morning Anambra, and I'd like to welcome your family. My name is Sijoma Uche. Ebere is here with me. Good morning, Ebere.
Yes, good morning. Good morning. It's TGIF. Thank God it's Friday. You know how excited I am when and it's Friday. Yeah, at least the people know and I'm not hiding it. So it's a great week, and we thank God for another opportunity to see the end of another week. While we're going to the weekend, so it's going to be
not just the weekend, the
Yeah.
new month. We are joining a new month tomorrow.
You just reminded me of that. Glory to God.
And it's Nigerian Independence Day.
Yeah.
So we're going to do our own independence with you this morning. Because we won't be here tomorrow morning.
Yeah.
Okay, so happy Independence to you.
Yeah, it's Happy Independence Day. We'll just talk a little bit about that. Nigeria's going to be turning a new year,
How many years? 62.
That's an old man. Nigeria's old.
Very old.
Very old.
And it's still crawling.
Painful. Painful. But there's hope.
Still looking for a way out.
There's hope. There's hope. We just have to believe. We have to keep working. We have to keep believing and, make it happen next year.
Okay. I hope this hope comes in our lifetime. That's just our prayers.
Yeah.
Because that's what we started hearing since when we were young. It's okay. Thank you very much for joining us. It is still Good Morning Anambra, and this morning we'll have a very important topic to look at, as you very much know that the campaigns have taken off, especially for the presidential election. It took off on Wednesday. That's on the 28th day of the month of October. And it has started in earnest.
September.
Oh, September, sorry. I'm already in October. Look at that.
And you ran so fast.
I'm jumping. I've jumped into October. Okay. And the rallies and a whole lot of flagging off of campaigns and then signing of peace accord yesterday to ensure that we play by the rules, okay? That's what the president told them, and a whole lot of people added their voices, like the former president, Goodluck Ebele Jonathan, Abdul Salami, and then who is talking? Okay, the INEC chairman, the IGP, a whole lot of people. What are we looking at? Issue-based campaign to ensure that nobody is hurt. You discuss, tell us what you want to do for us. Don't fight dirty. Okay, that's just the sum up of everything that was done yesterday. Peradventure, you may not have, okay, it's already there that this is what we're going to talk about today. Encouraging issue-based campaign, and we'll have a gentleman that has joined us to look at that. It is Barrister Charles Ogugwa. Barrister Charles Ogugwa is the legal practitioner. Good morning, Charles.
Good morning, IJ. Good morning. Thank you for having me. Good morning, Anambra State.
Okay.
Yes.
It's good to have you here.
Thank you very much.
You're looking so bright this morning. Is there something behind this brightness?
It is God. God.
I love Nigeria.
Yes.
Whatever happens to us. Welcome. Good to have you.
Thank you very much, my brother.
Okay. Issue-based campaign. Barrister Ogugwa.
Yes.
We saw what happened yesterday. By the way, we didn't see one of the presidential candidates. That's Ahmed Tinubu.
Yes,
okay. He was represented by his vice.
Yes.
And people started asking questions, such an important occasion, how come he was not there?
I think it's been there. It's been there. I think Tinubu traveled there some 2 weeks ago.
Okay.
And because of the fact that, we don't in most cases attack issues the way they are in Nigeria, what we were fed was that he went out, perhaps on one official, function or thereabouts. But this is a man that we have known for some time now that has been sick. Is it? And it's not as if that it is wrong for one to be sick. For crying out loud, anybody can be sick. But what is most important is for one who is aspiring for the office of the president of a country. Is it? I don't equally buy into the argument about what is actually one's age. We have seen 80-year-olds, 70, even sometimes 90, who are still very strong. Yet again, we have seen 40-year-olds who are equally very, very weak. So at the end of it, what we're talking about is one healthy enough? Do you understand? Mm-hmm. If one is not healthy enough, there is no need one fooling oneself. And in fact, fooling Nigerians. And so actually, his conspicuous absence there was a result of the trip he embarked on to London, where, if you remember, London has been acting as a maker of sorts for Nigerian leaders. I think it's almost like the second home for even the sitting president. And if Nigerians can afford to avoid this type of a situation again, I think it will pay us well.
It will do
so
us
it's
well.
Quite unfortunate that he wasn't there. And again was that the signing wasn't structured in such a way that one could have signed for the other.
Really?
Yes.
So what happened?
One was to thumbprint. So one had to be present to do that. Mm-hmm. P2B was present, he did it. Atiku was present, he also did it. Perhaps if there was a provision for someone's vice to have done that, Shetima obviously would have done that for Tinubu. And so what it means there is that for as far as APC is concerned, they weren't part of the signing undertaking, yes. They weren't.
What does that...
What's the implication? Is he coming back to do that? Maybe when he comes back?
Automatically, I have my own worries about whether we sign or whether we do not. Let me through that first.
Yes.
Automatically, we have laws in Nigeria, and I belong to the group who are of the opinion that the Nigerian problem is not basically about the laws, but about implementation, about obedience. Do you understand? If we should go back to 2015, and much later in 2019, peace accord, we are signed. Sure. But at the end of the day, one couldn't have said that the election of 2015 wasn't bloody. At least we know that people were killed in some parts of the country. Mm-hmm. And in 2019, lives were equally lost. So it takes us down to what the ordinary man does. It's not about the politicians, do you understand? But about those following the politicians, the youths. Do you understand? So at the end of the day, if the man in the street accepts the fact that, look, his blood is not worth this election, thank you very much, automatically we are going to enjoy a peaceful election. But for so long as our people are ready to die probably because of 1,000 naira, perhaps 5,000 naira, at the end of the day we may still see such scenarios replaying again. Mm-hmm. And then as it concerns Tinubu not being there, what it practically means is that he didn't sign. Do you understand? Mm-hmm. And the implication there was that he wasn't part of it. Is it? And so if there should be anything for which anybody should be held responsible as a result of one has signed, he wouldn't be held responsible for what he didn't consent to. So it's as simple as that.
This is scary.
Yes, it's as simple as that.
Very, very scary. Okay, let's get back to the topic of the day. So when we say encouraging issue-based campaigns, what exactly do we mean by that?
Obviously, when we talk about the issue-based campaign, we are talking about campaigning on the basis of what one would do on the economy, on the political economy of Nigeria, and perhaps socially. The Nigerian problem, like we have talked about over the years, is a problem of leadership. Having that commitment to do the seemingly impossible. Do you understand? Having that commitment to fix the energy sector, which is the life wire of every other sector of the Nigerian economy. Do you understand? Now, having that political will, to break down the powers of the center. Obviously, what Nigeria is running is a federal system in name. Do you understand? But the unitary system in practice. So it takes a man with a very large, heart, the strong will to unbundle the Nigerian system. And these are things Nigerians want to hear. How are you going to increase their quality of life? How are you going to bring down, cost of living? And not basically talking about where one is from. Do you understand? Which has been the problem of Nigeria over the years. In other words, if one is competent to serve in the position of a president of this country, to serve perhaps as a governor of a particular state, people begin to look at, for me, primordial issues that shouldn't be there at first instance. In other words, if it takes an Igbo man to fix the country, let it be. Let's be professional about it. If you take a Yoruba man to fix the country, let's be professional about it. In the same way, if you take an Hausa man to do it, let it be there. And not people trying to play on the religious inclinations of others. In other words, if I'm good enough, but I am a Christian, then I'm disqualified. Then if I'm not good enough, but I am a Muslim, then I'm qualified. Do you understand? Mm-hmm. And so, that is more to it than a flying embers of discord. Is it? Tell us what you have on the table for Nigerians, basically.
So far, so good. Looking at the top three contenders of the presidency, of course, we can see Bola Ahmed Tinubu, the APC presidential flag bearer.
Yes.
Peter Obi, the Labour Party flag bearer, and of course, Atiku Abubakar, the PDP flag bearer. So far, so good. Looking at those candidates, the three top candidates, would you say that, prior before now, that they've been able to carry out their little way of, campaigning in an issue-based way? Now, why I said that is, if you look at the country Nigeria basically now, you agree with us that, you agree with me rather, that the country is going through a very sensitive period. And
yes.
It will be very selfish for anybody to put his personal interest ahead of the nation's interest. I know a particular contender, aspirant of the presidential election came out to say, it is my turn.
Yes.
And when you look at that, would you say, talking about issue-based campaign, this particular aspirant will be looking towards the nation's progress rather than his personal interest?
I think the facts are there for anyone to see. And I would want to warn that what I'm going to say now, in every sense of fairness, it doesn't have anything to do with the fact that, I am an Igbo man. Do you understand? Or somebody trying to color it, perhaps equally to the, direction of perhaps one is a Labour Party supporter. Do you understand? I want to look at it with every sense of professionalism.
Okay.
I think if one looks at the three major contestants, but Atiku, Obi. If we're looking at one who has actually been able to hit the ground running in terms of what we can talk about as, making strong arguments on issues, policy statements, solutions to what one wants to do, and how one wants to go about it. I think one has to give it to Peter Obi.
Okay.
Do you understand? Then when you compare what Peter Obi has been able to, appreciate about the Nigerian composition, one doesn't have to, be a graduate of economics, probably from Harvard or from any of the ivory towers in US or England, to understand that what we need to do in Nigeria is to shore up the productive base. Do you understand? People talk about making us a producing economy, making us an exporting economy. It doesn't need rocket science, because if you don't produce, obviously you cannot sell. And if you're not selling, you can't acquire foreign exchange. So it's not any surprise that we are experiencing dollar scarcity in Nigeria at the moment. And somebody has to fix that. And somebody has to discover that. Then when we go down to the side of Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu, it is from him that we have had this issue of it is my turn. perhaps as a result of an agreement between him and the present president, look, I'm going to support you. That was way back in 2015. Do you understand? During which some PDP, governors broke away from PDP for reasons best known to them. Bola Tinubu, every respect to him, promised him that was going to give him the Western Bloc votes, which obviously he did. But the question now is not about whether there was actually an agreement between Buhari and perhaps Tinubu. What we're talking about now is about Nigeria and rescuing the Nigerian drowning ship. Okay. You see it? So the problem we have in Nigeria is far beyond probably we have an agreement. Respect the agreement. It is my turn. Do you understand? It is this issue of turn that got us to where we are today in Nigeria. If
he is in agreement with his party, does that translate to being in agreement with Nigeria that after this person comes in? It's a party agreement which does not concern Nigerians.
Now, this is where Nigerians have to come in, like you rightly said. Obviously, a party is a party, whether there is agreement or not.
It doesn't concern us.
But the problem we have in Nigeria is that a reasonable number of Nigerians find it difficult to reason beyond the party, inclination. So sometimes we tend to think that, look, if it is not PDP, it must be APC. If it's not APC, it must be PDP. And for too long a time, I might equally have to add it here that we have had political parties that are largely the same thing in terms of principles. There is no clear-cut difference between APC and the PDP. These are parties with virtually the same political ideologies. What we have differentiating them is, for me, just the logo. Do you understand? And then we have been having people crisscrossing from one to the other. But then, what we are now faced with in Nigeria is not whether it is APC or whether it is PDP. But we are looking at the particular person that is going to drive the ship. Do you understand? Mm-hmm. Because obviously there are some APC states where the governors have done well. Just as there are PDP states where the governors have done well. Now, where a governor did well is not a function of the party now, but a function of the person of that particular governor. In other words, if APC is a good party, but you have an incompetent person leading it, it wouldn't move. If PDP is a good party, and yet again you have an incompetent person leading it, it wouldn't move. The same applies to Labour Party. So what we have now is we have a bunch of three, where one is the most competent. And what we're saying is that Nigerians has to go beyond which party is the dominant party and which other party is the second most dominant party, but which particular individual is the most qualified.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. We are coming to that. We are coming to that. We are watching Good Morning Anambra discussion segment this morning, and we are looking at encouraging based campaign, and we are here with Barrister Charles Ogugwa. We'll take a very short break to bring in some people that we'll talk to on the streets, and when we return, we'll start hitting it.
I've always expected it because the situation of the country is no longer a happy one to anybody, and says he or she is happy going to the country, and that person must have come from another world. Personally, I am happy because it's coming, and a time for us to put stop to most of the things we are seeing today in government. The masses are waiting because they want to take power back to their hands, because the power belongs to the masses. And it is time for us to make that statement. Making that statement, let the people who want to be the president, who wants to vice the president, let them come and talk to us. Let us see their manifestos. Let us see what they want to do for this country, Nigeria. The economy is nothing to them about. What is happening today? Everywhere. Problem, insecurity. So it's time with narrative. By so doing, we who are electors look at their manifesto, we'll look at what they are made of and be able to say this is the person we're going for.
This is a time that we're trusting God that we'll be able to get it right. And this is the very first time that we're having a third force in terms of election. And so we know APC and PDP, big money bar political party, and we're having a third force, Labour Party. And I have a very expectation as it concerns this election. Because we expect great things. Hopefully, we'll get to see Atiku come up and campaign. We'll get to see Jagaba and Tinubu come up, because I would like to see how they will be able to react to the intelligence of Peter Obi. So I have high expectation, and we're looking forward to have an objective-minded campaign this time around. Time to send their deputies or their running mates, stand. I want to see the presidential campaign and debates too. I'm eager to seeing that come alive.
We are expecting, in fact, everybody just looking onto God on this election, because the truth remains that there must be a winner. I believe everybody out there knows the situation in the country right now, and that since we all know the situation, if we want to suffer again, we know if we are still going to continue another 8 years of suffering. So I will advise and I will tell every viewers that they should vote their conscience on this very election. I pray that they will be peaceful, because with the things I've seen, I've been watching through the net, some political parties will be having campaign, they'll be having campaign and there'll be destruction along the line and all that. So let the campaign be peaceful.
Welcome back. It is still Good Morning Anambra, encouraging issue-based campaign with Barrister Charles Ogugwa. Yes.
All right. Yes, we're still discussing it. And before we went on the break, our guest was trying to tell us, so far so good. The contestants who have been able to at least tell the people what they have on the ground and what they intend to do. Back to you, Barrister. Yes. The Executive Director of Human Rights Writers Association, Emmanuel Obiku, stated that the fact that Tinubu preference on Muslim ticket will make it difficult for him to engage in issue-based campaign. Do you also agree with that?
Yes. I totally that particular.
Why is that?
Line of thoughts.
Okay.
Obviously, much as we know what problem we have in Nigeria, I think the onus lies on us to attack that particular problem and not going out there to show any sign of desperation. Do you understand? Giving every Nigerian a sense of belonging, fairness, it's unconstitutional. Do you understand? Tinubu probably had thought that if he had picked a Northern Christian, do you understand? Perhaps the Northern Muslims whom they feel are more in number wouldn't want to vote him, because of the assumption that, very stupid assumption that, a Yoruba Muslim is not a like-for-like equivalent of a Northern Muslim. In other words, what makes Tinubu an original Muslim for a Northern Muslim to believe him is speaking a Northern Muslim. Do you understand? And entirely disregarding every other interest that is there in the North. I did my youth service in Adamawa State in 1998-90. Do you understand? And while I was in Adamawa State, I discovered that there are even more Christians in Adamawa, do you understand, than there were Muslims. You see, we penetrated a number of communities, even as far as Jada, Atiku's place. Do you understand? We went there. because that was where our zonal inspector's office then was. I served in particular at Mayobewa local government. You see, and for anybody watching and listening out there, that was where the former military administrator of our state, I think, had a very wide, farm. A farm, I want to believe that should be larger than Oka North and Oka South. I know it is. I know it that much. Now, once in a while, we move into President Anambra State, where we only discover that there were very strong Christian communities. Do you understand? Because of the fact that Hindu had could be the easiest route to the presidency, damned the Christian interests. Okay. But assuming, who had, stood on the plank of competence, okay, on the plank of what he feels he can do. Do you understand? There wouldn't be any need for him to have gone for a Muslim. Do you understand? And if I should, scale Tinubu and Buhari, do you understand? I would want to say that Buhari seems more like, a Muslim that has, a greater inclinations to force Muslim principles on people. But then he chose a pastor, a Pentecostal pastor. Do you understand? Mm-hmm. And so if Buhari, who is seen as a more principled Muslim, could condescend and see Nigeria the way Nigeria is, bringing the two dominant religions together, I wouldn't know why Tinubu would, back away from that.
I think he was wrongfully advised.
So I think it was a wrong one.
A very wrong one.
It was a wrong one.
Okay, let's move on. We have another story that is trending. Was it on 27th that Atiku went to Enugu and repeatedly, like he said it 2015, told the Igbos to wait for another 8 years when he finishes so that they will now come in with their idea of presidency. I want to find out from you, Barrister Koko, is this also an issue-based campaign?
It is not.
So what does that mean?
It is not. If there is anything in it, it is like rubbing salt on one's injury. Do you understand? Atiku was a member of PDP. I think one of the core members of G34. Do you understand? Atiku was the leader of one of the core groups that metamorphosed into PDP. He was the head of GDM. That was a political group that was led by Shehu Musa Yar'Adua, who was Atiku's political father before he died. So Atiku inherited that particular machine. Do you understand? It was with that particular machine that he won the governorship election of Adamawa State then, before Obasanjo now picked him to come and be his vice. So where am I going to? Atiku has been shipping in and shipping out from PDP. And I knew very, very well that one of the fundamental principles under which PDP was that principle of rotation, rotating the power from the north to the south. So when eventually Ekweme Obrete's memory was robbed in 1999 and Obrete was thrown up, understanding them was that at the end of Obasanjo, it should go north quite all right. Do you understand? And it obviously went north. This is without prejudice to what I did in 2003. When he almost scuttled Obasanjo's second tenure under the plan that Obasanjo signed. It's like he wanted to make Igbos believe now that he was going to do one tenure. Whatever that meant. That was where the frosted relationship between Obasanjo and Atiku started. Do you understand? Now Obasanjo allegedly told that he was going to finish his second tenure. But Obasanjo is a never forgets. You understand? It's like a snake that if you want to kill it, and don't leave him half alive. So he swore that, come, because I've dissected this man, I wouldn't support him. So when eventually Obasanjo supported Musa Yar'Adua of Shehu Musa Yar'Adua of blessed memory, do you understand? And he won, although not equally, completely 100% health-wise. Good Lord John, came on board. He said, now, where we had issue was on Goodluck's challenge in 2011. Ordinarily, I had that thinking in 2011 that perhaps because of the fact that was a northern so to say in PDP, not in APC, perhaps somebody from the north would have been supported. Do you get the point? So that particular time would have been finished. But because of the fact that sometimes we cannot shy away from some of these things, we were looking at a Goodluck who felt is from the south and who also constitutionally should have a right to equally serve out. He was voted in. When he was voted in, that altered that arrangement. Do you understand? Because now we are forced in a situation where somebody started off doing that northern term. Midway into the first term, he died. Now a son inherited it. And the question then was, should a Southern finish the 2 years and then support a Northerner to finish years again? Somehow along the line, it wasn't played the right way. Then Goodluck came on board. Goodluck wanted to do 8 years. That was where the crack in PDP now came up. So when eventually they now fed up, come, this man, you are not going to do 4 years. They went and supported the Buhari. Atiku moved to APC. That wasn't real party politics. That was not a politics of principles. That was not a politics of where one sticking to one's political ideology. But talking about the so-called political interest and whatever that means. And so, as it stands in Nigeria, Obasanjo did 8 years for the Southwest. Did years for the North, after which the remaining 2 years plus 2 as vice was done by South. Now Buhari is finishing 8 years plus 2 for the North again. Do you understand? And so it is only very natural that if power is coming back to the South as it is, it should go to the micro region, it should go to the sub-region that have never tested it. And that particular region that has never tested it is the Southeast. Do you get the point? Okay. And so coming back to tell us that we should wait when we have a very competent person whom ordinarily should have supported in the PD convention is like pulling wool, a very large one across our eyes. Okay. So it is a promise fraught with fraud. It is despicable.
Let's look at some of the issues or challenges, that will be surrounding this issue-based campaign.
Yes.
We talked first. I remember earlier when you talked about this religion issue, and you talked about if one was capable of being the president of the country, he shouldn't be looked at being a Muslim or Christian or an Igbo man or all of that. Now, more challenges. The election is coming, and of course we know the APC flag bearer and the vice president is a Muslim ticket. We know the Labour Party is a Muslim Christian ticket, and the PDP party as well. Where does this leave the citizens? Because if the election is going to hold, if the election is going to come and pass, and the citizens are going to vote whoever they feel is actually the right candidate, this issue of religion in politics, where is this going to take the country and take us as citizens?
Thank you very much. I think we said it partly before now that a lot depends on what the man in the street does. Understanding the dynamics of election and understanding the dynamics of governance. Do you understand? Obviously, these are men and women who are crying in rhetoric, using words to turn around the head. But then for the average man in the street, even for the average man, the most important thing that should crop up in every other person's mind is, who should guarantee me, who should guarantee my children a better future?
Do Nigerians think this way? That's one problem.
But that's what we must, if we are condemned to start thinking about that. We are condemned. Because if we must not in one way or the other ask ourselves such questions. The question here is, if somebody has felt that APC has done well, as things are in Nigeria, are you saying that you want to improve on what the current government has done at the national level? Very high rates of insecurity that has made farmers to run away from their farms in the north. For crying out loud, if you buy a 2,500 naira tuber of yam, it wouldn't be enough for 2 children as we speak. Do you understand? And if we are saying that APC has done well, and we are yet to arrest insecurity, and we are yet to arrest power problems. There was a particular fact that P2B quoted some 2 or 3 months ago, which I privately confirmed. Within the last 4 years, President Sisi of Egypt was able to groom and upgrade the wattage of the Egyptian electricity generation close to 14,000 megawatts within 4 years. But for 62 years now, we are talking about below 5,000 in Nigeria. How do we develop? And if somebody wasn't able to fix this in the last 8 years, and for which we have to blame the party, are we saying that we are going to thank this party again by bringing them back? No. And again is that sometimes we talk about a breath of fresh air. I've equally read a number of write-ups where people say, these 3 musketeers are the same. No 2 individuals or even 3 are actually the same. Do you understand? And then even if one can say, as Nigerian politicians, maybe in one way or the other that they are all dates, somebody is still better than the others. Do you understand? So even if Obi is not a saint, as it is, he remains the best. Do you understand? All right. And in summary terms, I think we shouldn't be riding on people's ignorance anymore in Nigeria. Our people should come up.
Very important.
And face the reality.
Okay. Let's get back to what played out yesterday during the signing of the peace accord, okay, which attracted so many stakeholders in the country. Of course, we have discussed part of it that one of the candidates, major candidates, was not there. That's Bola Ahmed Tinubu. But now, there are some people that were there and they made some frantic efforts to ensure that we have an issue-based campaign. One of them was Abdul Salami, and he said that one of the problems that we're going to face in this during this campaign will be the problem of fake news and misinformation, that this is going to be a threat to the polls. How do you look at that?
I think we have the enabling laws that guide any established issue of peddling what one knows as false. Do you understand? And then, like I equally said before now, our problem in Nigeria is not all about laws. We have one of the, most beautiful laws in the world. But it has always been that of, making sure that our laws serve us.
Execution.
Do you understand? And if Abu Salami entertained, such fears, I would want to give it to him that it's not unfounded. Do you understand? Most of these men have what they call their social media warriors who churn out some of these stunts, trying to play on intelligence of people, and sometimes they're saying some things that are hardly, verified. So, but then the question remains, I've always equally told people that there is no difference between the poor in Sokoto and the poor in Cross River State. Just as there is no difference between the poor in Borno State and his brother in Lagos State. Nigerians must know that if I have a brother, perhaps as a Hausa, at the helm of affairs, and he's not doing well, it affects all of us. Do you understand? It doesn't now matter whether the person there is my brother or not. But if we have someone who, as it is not my brother, but he's doing the right thing, and he can do the right thing, automatically it is going to, go down and touch even the poorest. Is it? And so that is where I would want us to, look at, and where I pray that Nigerians of every color would actually sit down to ask themselves questions.
Okay.
Who would return us to the farms? Who would give fresh blood to our industries? If these industries are not revived, you can't be talking about employment. If you're not talking about employment, you can't be addressing youth restiveness. You have to get people doing something.
All right.
Yes.
All right. Still on the issue-based campaign, I want to believe that, every election that has come and gone in this country, the issue-based campaign idea have been promoted.
Yes.
And lots of these candidates will come out and tell us, if you vote us into power, we will do this, we will do that. This is our manifesto. This is how we intend to go about this. This has happened over the years in subsequent election. It's going to be happening in 2023. The candidates are coming out again and they're telling us these are the issues and these are the ways we're going to solve it. And over the years, the same people have done the same thing. We haven't seen anything that's changed so much or so far. What is the proof? The next year's election, even with all they have brought out, and still telling us, because you're giving an instance with Peter Obi, the Labour Party flag bearer, that has come out to say, these are the issues, this is how I intend to go about it. He's not the first person to do that. So why would we even have to believe him this time?
I think there are some things that are equally very verifiable about each of these three contestants. And then let me take it from the angle of how we can hold any one of them accountable.
Good, that's the word.
There is something that has happened in the last 6 months that has never happened in Nigeria before. Talking about massive youth participation.
Okay.
I think the level of consciousness that has been awoken in Nigeria has never been this much before.
Okay.
And for whoever cares, to note it, I think the NSAS, period was a turning point in the consciousness of youths in Nigeria. And the younger people have come to realize that, look, there is nothing like we are the leaders of tomorrow again.
Okay.
The youths are leaders already in Europe. The youths are leaders already in Asia. Do you understand? There are a reasonable number of countries where most of their presidents, prime ministers are people below 50 years, 60 years, sometimes 40-something years. Do you understand? And then, even for these our present day, leaders, at what point did they burst into the Nigerian political landscape? The likes of Obasanjo, Buhari, Atiku came in as at the time they were in their late 20s and early 30s. Do you understand? And tomorrow Nigeria will be 62 years. And these men have remained there, looming large, growing old with Nigeria, and some Nigerian problems remaining there. Now when we talk about has P2B said that he will do this? How is it going to be different from some other politicians who said we are going to do this, and
saying.
never eventually did it.
That's what I'm saying.
Now, the difference now is about political participation. Do you understand? We have political apathy, a state of lack of interest. We have participation, a state of, being inclined to show interest. And the interest you are showing is not passive one, but an active one. So because of the fact that Nigerian youths are now participatory, even by INEX statistics, they've never achieved the level of youth registration for PVC as they have had in the last 1 year. All as a result of the fact that somebody sparked up the intelligence of the youths. And again is this. I equally have my own worries about Peter being in the event that he wins. He is equally going to be overwhelmed because an Obi's presidency is a presidency that will be highly democratic. I wouldn't see Peter Obi as a man that would want to unleash the political dogs on youths if they want to demonstrate. Do you get the point? I wouldn't see him as a man that would want to go and trample on the rights of people to move around, to protest, making demands. Come, you told us that we are going to do this. You didn't do it. We want it. Do you understand? So for the very first time, Nigeria may have a government. Do you understand?
With
that will be held
face.
responsible for whatever that very government has said that it will do. And finally, when we talk about a people's government, a popular government, we are talking about a government that comes into power as a result of the overriding opinion of the masses. It is a transformative government. If the election is free and fair, and Nigerians voting P2B, do you understand? Because of the fact that it is coming from the embers of a movement, a level of consciousness, people will be committed to make Nigeria work.
Yes, there will be that commitment.
Yes.
Okay, let's touch other areas before we go because our time is coming up now. During that same yesterday's signing of the peace accord to ensure that we have an issue-based campaign, INEC said they are going to monitor the candidates, monitor the parties' conduct, and then their spending. We have had so many cases whereby political parties
already,
spend
yes,
carelessly, and especially what happened during the primaries, where the delegates were stocked with a lot of money, not even naira, but in hard currency. So how do you see them? Do you see them doing this, monitoring and then making sure that activities of the political parties will be contented?
Most times I tell people that I don't like talking for the fun of it. The question there is if INEC is a bulldog, has it grown teeth? If it has not grown any teeth, then that means that it can only bark. I read it just yesterday. Do you understand? That PDP and APC have already overspent. Even before the election, before the campaign, took off officially. And the question here is,
what are they spending on? Bribing.
There is a certain amount of money that you shouldn't, go beyond.
And that's what I'm saying. What have they invested on now? The campaigns just started the other day.
The question there is,
is it buying of consciences?
Obviously, these are things that I cannot sit down here to, analyze, because of the fact that the facts in its entirety are with INEC. Do you understand? So where I am going is, if by INEC's own admission, this party and that party, have overspent. Do you understand? The question now is, if there is a relevant provision of the Electoral Act Do you understand? That prohibits spending above a particular sum. Do you now have that teeth enough to bite? Do you understand? So assuming PDP has overspent, and by the relevant section of that particular law, INEC should wield its sledgehammer. If INEC wields its sledgehammer, probably somebody, will go in for it. Then if INEC has admitted but hasn't done anything, it's equally as good as saying that even if somebody is going to spend times 10 of what has already been spent, perhaps in buying people's conscience, there is nothing INEC can do about it at the end.
INEC is an independent body,
Yes.
so why won't they apply their independence on issues like this? What do you think is holding them back?
2010 or thereabouts, that the former president of USA, Barack Obama, I'm not his fan anyway, but he said something very nice I want to go back to. That was when he was in Ghana. He said that Africans should rather build strong institutions as against strong individuals. Do you understand? If our political institutions, if our governmental institutions are strong enough, do you understand, to wield the big stick, the very moment someone has debted, automatically everybody will now be knocked into line. Do you understand? EFCC should not start working simply because of the fact that Buhari has said, go and arrest this person. EFCC should not refrain from arresting someone simply because of the fact that that particular person is seen as somebody who is in the good books of the executive. Our institutions of government should be actually equipped, do you understand, with the relevant laws and men who should be independent to do the job.
Okay.
Yes, we have not seen that yet in Nigeria.
All right, thank you, sir. Thank you. We'd like to thank you very much for joining us this morning. It's been a very worthwhile exercise as we discussed encouraging issue-based campaign as the campaigns just took off 2 days ago. And we have been around with Barrister Charles Ogogo, a legal practitioner. I would like to thank you very much, sir.
Thank you for having me. Thank you.
And not to talk of that, you joined us all the way from Onitsha. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Everybody, let's go.
Yes, we cannot stop talking about the issue-based campaign. Well, the campaign just started, rather. So we're going to be having lots of political discussions regarding the next year's elections. And of course, remember, you, the citizens, would have to be a very big part of. We complain that the country is not really living up to the expectations we want it to be. But how will it get there if we, the citizens, don't participate? So, let's take this seriously. Let's, put all hands on deck and let's make the 2023 election an election that will be remembered for all positivity.
Thank you, sir. All right, thank you. Everybody that made it happen this week. The camera guys, the ops directors, MCR, producer Ifyu Nachuku, the executive producer Chido Obidegu, and a whole lot of people, the floor manager. Yes, I can see you. Thank you. My name is C. Jamma. Thank God for this week. And God will keep us. We'll see you some other time. Good morning.